A talking donkey. It sounds like something from a made-up story, right, or a children's book, but it's not. It's real. It's in the Bible, the book of Numbers, chapter 22. It's one of the strangest stories you'll ever read. Why did God use a talking donkey? That's a question a lot of people ask. It's not just a weird detail. It's not just a funny moment. It tells us a lot about God. It tells us a lot about people. It tells us a lot about how God works in the world. Let's start at the beginning. We need to know who was involved. There was a man named Balaam. He was a prophet, or at least he was known for being one. People thought he had special power. They thought he could bless people or curse people, and if he said something, it often came true. He was famous for this. He had a big reputation. Then there was a king. His name was Balak. King Balak ruled a place called Moab. The Moabites lived near the Israelites. The Israelites were on the move. They had just left Egypt. They had won some battles. They were a huge crowd of people. King Balak was very scared of them. He saw how many of them there were. He worried they would take over his land. He thought they would, eat up everything. Like an ox eating grass. He was truly terrified. So, King Balak had an idea. He knew he couldn't beat the Israelites with his army. He needed a different kind of help. He thought of Balaam. He thought, if Balaam curses these people, then maybe I can beat them. He really believed in Balaam's power. He believed Balaam could use spiritual power to hurt his enemies. Balak sent important men to Balaam. They brought many gifts. They brought a lot of money. They told Balaam what Balak wanted. They said, please, come and curse these people, the Israelites. They are too many. They are too strong. We need your curses to defeat them. But Balaam listened to them. He told the men to stay for the night. He said he would ask God what he should do. This sounds good, like a man who seeks God's will. And God did speak to Balaam. And God asked Balaam, who are these men with you? Balaam told God. He explained that King Balak wanted him to curse the Israelites. God's answer was very clear, and it was direct. God said, do not go with them. You must not curse these people. They are blessed. That was a firm no. God made it very plain. So in the morning, Balaam went to the messenger. He told them, go back to your land. The Lord has refused to let me go with you. He didn't tell them everything God said. He didn't say, God said they are blessed. He just gave them part of the answer. The messengers went back to King Balak. They told him what Balaam said. King Balak didn't give up. He was very determined. He sent more messengers, and these were even more important men. More princes. And they carried even more money. They had an even bigger promise. Balak said, don't let anything stop you. Come and curse these people for me. I will pay you very, very well. I will do whatever you ask. This time, Balaam felt tempted. He saw all that money. He heard those promises. He knew he could get rich, but he still gave a good speech. He said, even if Balak gave me his house full of silver and gold, I could not go against what the Lord my God tells me. That sounds very spiritual, but then he added something. But please, you stay here tonight. Let me see what else the Lord might tell me. This was a problem. God had already said no. A clear no. When God says no, we shouldn't ask again. Balaam was hoping God would change his mind. He was hoping God would say yes this time. Because Balaam wanted that money. His heart was not right. He wanted God to let him do something God had already forbidden. And sometimes God lets us have what we want, even if it's not good for us. Even if it's not his best plan for us. God gives us free choice. He lets us make decisions. So that night God spoke to Balaam again. God said, if these men have come to call you, get up and go with them. But you must only do what I tell you. This part is very important. God gave permission to go, but he put a very strict condition on it. Balaam could only speak God's words. Not his own words. Not Balak's words. Only God's words. When Balaam got up the next morning, he saddled his donkey, and he went with the Moabite princes. He was probably happy. He thought he got his way. He got to go for the money. But he didn't realize God was not pleased with him. Not really. God was angry that Balaam went. Even though God said he could go, God knew Balaam's heart. He knew Balaam went because of greed. Not because he truly wanted to serve God. He went to serve himself. And this is when the donkey comes into the story. Balaam was riding his donkey. He had 2 servants with him. They were on their way. And then something amazing happened. The Lord's angel stood in the road. The angel blocked the path. The angel had a sword in his hand, but Balaam couldn't see the angel. Balaam was a prophet. He was supposed to see spiritual things, but he couldn't see God's angel. The donkey saw the angel. The donkey saw the sword. The donkey was very scared. It turned off the road. It went into the field. Balaam got angry. He hit the donkey. He hit it to make it get back on the road. They kept going. Then the angel stood in a narrow path. It was between 2 vineyards. There were stone walls on both sides. The angel was there again, still with the sword. The donkey saw the angel again. It saw the danger. It tried to avoid the angel. It pressed itself against the wall. Balaam's foot got crushed against the wall. Balaam got even angrier. He hit the donkey again, even harder this time. They kept going. The angel moved again. The angel stood in an even narrower place, a place where there was no room to turn, no room to go left or right. The angel was there, still with the sword, waiting. The donkey saw the angel for the third time. It saw there was nowhere to go. It couldn't turn, it couldn't go around, it couldn't squeeze past. The donkey was so afraid. It just lay down under Balaam. It simply refused to move. Balaam was absolutely furious now. He was boiling mad. He couldn't believe his donkey was acting this way. This donkey had always been good, always reliable for his whole life. Now it was just stopping, lying down, making him look silly, making him late, making him angry. So Balaam hit the donkey. He hit it with his staff. 3 times now. He hit it very hard. And then the most incredible thing happened. God opened the donkey's mouth. The donkey spoke. It said to Balaam, "What have I done to you? Why have you beaten me these 3 times?" Imagine that. A talking donkey right there on the road asking you a question. A very sensible question. Balaam, in his anger, actually answered the donkey. He didn't even seem that surprised at first. He just kept yelling. He said, "You have made a fool of me. If I had a sword, I would kill you right." The donkey spoke again. It said, "Am I not your own donkey? The one you have ridden your whole life? Have I ever done this to you before?" And Balaam had to admit it. "No," he said. The donkey was right. It had always been faithful. Always done what he asked. Always reliable. This behavior was totally out of the ordinary for his donkey. It's such a strange scene. A man arguing with his donkey, a donkey making a very logical point. Right after the donkey spoke, God opened Balaam's eyes. Balaam finally saw the angel of the Lord. The angel was standing in the road, with the drawn sword, just as the donkey had seen it, all 3 times. Balaam was shocked. He bowed down. He fell on his face. He finally understood. The angel spoke to Balaam. The angel said, "Why have you beaten your donkey these 3 times? I have come here to stop you. Your way is wrong before me." The angel explained it all. The donkey saw me. It turned away from me these 3 times. If it had not turned away, I would surely have killed you by now, and I would have let the donkey live. Think about that. The donkey saved Balaam's life. The donkey, the dumb animal, was more aware of spiritual danger than the prophet. The donkey saw God's messenger. The donkey reacted to the danger. The donkey tried to protect its master. And Balaam, the supposed man of God, was blind. He was so caught up in his anger. He was so focused on his own plans. He was so driven by greed. He couldn't see the very real threat from God. This is a powerful moment, and it teaches us so much. First, God can use anything, absolutely anything, to get our attention, to give us a message, to save us. He used the donkey. Not a wise man, not another prophet, not a fancy sign in the sky. He used a normal, everyday animal. An animal that Balaam had ridden countless times, and he made it speak. This shows God's power. He is the creator. He can do anything he wants. He can use the weakest, the most unexpected, the most common thing to do his will, to speak his truth. Second, it shows us our own spiritual blindness. Balaam was a prophet. He was supposed to have special insight. He was supposed to be closer to God. But he was blind to God's presence. He was blind to God's warning. He was blind to the angel right in front of him. His desire for money, his anger, his focus on his own plans, it clouded his vision. It made him deaf to God's warnings. It made him lash out at the very creature trying to protect him. How often are we like Balaam? We think we know best. We think we're smart. We think we're spiritual. But we ignore clear signs. We ignore warnings. We ignore small nudges. We get angry at things that seem to block our path. We get frustrated when things don't go our way. But maybe, just maybe, those blocks are there for a reason. Maybe those frustrations are God trying to get our attention, God trying to stop us from going down a dangerous path. The donkey was trying to save Balaam. Each time it turned, it was protecting him. Each time it stopped, it was protecting him, and Balaam beat it for that. He hurt the very one trying to keep him safe. This is a big lesson. We need to be humble. We need to be open to God's warnings, no matter how they come, no matter who they come through, even if it's from the most unlikely source. Even if it's from someone we think is beneath us, or from something we think is just an obstacle. Third, it shows God's patience. The angel didn't just strike Balaam down right away. God gave warnings. 3 times the angel stood there. 3 times the donkey reacted. 3 times Balaam had a chance to wonder, to think, to ask, why is my donkey acting this way? But he didn't. He just got angrier. God was patient. He allowed the donkey to try and get through to Balaam. He allowed the donkey to speak. He waited until the last possible moment before showing Balaam the truth. God is patient with us. He gives us many chances, many warnings. He tries to get our attention in different ways. Fourth, it's about God's control. God allowed Balaam to go, but God was still in charge. Balaam thought he was making his own choices. He thought he was in control. But God had a plan. God would not let Balaam curse Israel. God would turn any curse into a blessing. God used this whole journey, this whole encounter to make that clear to Balaam. And to Balak, God's purposes cannot be stopped. His promises are true. He promised to bless Abraham and his descendants. He would not let anyone curse them, not for any price, not for any king. Balaam was just a tool God would use for his own purposes, even though Balaam's heart was bad. After Balaam saw the angel, he knew he was wrong. He said, "I have sinned. I did not realize you were standing in the road to stop me. Now, if you are displeased, I will go back." But the angel said to him, "Go with the men, but speak only what I tell you." So Balaam continued his journey. He went to King Balak. King Balak was happy to see him. But Balaam now knew his place. He knew he was just a mouthpiece for God. He couldn't say what he wanted. He couldn't say what Balak wanted. He could only say what God put in his mouth. And that's what happened. Balak took Balaam to different high places. He built altars. He offered sacrifices. He wanted Balaam to look down on the Israelites and curse them. But every time Balaam opened his mouth, blessings came out, not curses. God put words of blessing in his mouth. When Balaam spoke about Israel's greatness, he spoke about their unique place among nations. He spoke about their future blessings. He even spoke about a star and a scepter that would come from Israel. A future king, a Messiah. King Balak got more and more angry. He would say, "I brought you here to curse my enemies, but you have done nothing but bless them." And Balaam would answer, "Did I not tell you that I can only say what the Lord puts in my mouth?" This happened 3 times, 3 separate tries by Balak to get a curse. 3 separate times Balaam delivered blessings. Finally, Balak sent Balaam away. He said, "Go back to your place. I meant to give you great honor, but the Lord has kept you from honor." Balaam left. He went back to his own land, but the story doesn't quite end there for Balaam. This is another important part. It shows us something about people. Even after such a powerful, life-changing experience, a person's heart can still be wrong. Balaam knew God's power. He knew God wanted to bless Israel. He couldn't curse them directly. But he later gave advice to the Moabites. He told them how to tempt the Israelites into sin. He told them to get Israel to worship their gods and commit bad acts. This was Balaam's way of indirectly cursing Israel. It was a sneaky, wicked plan. It showed that his heart was still set on opposing God's people. It showed that his greed still drove him, even after seeing the angel, even after hearing God speak through a donkey, even after delivering God's blessings. He still tried to harm Israel. For this, Balaam was later killed by the Israelites. He died on the wrong side. So the talking donkey story is not just a strange moment. It's a key part of a much bigger lesson. What can we learn from all this? Why is it in the Bible for us today? Or through people we respect? But God can use anything. A dream, a quiet thought, a friend's simple comment, a verse in the Bible that suddenly stands out. Or, yes, even a talking donkey. We need to be open. We need to listen for God's voice in all the ordinary things, expected things. We need to be humble enough to hear truth, no matter who it comes from. But he was blind to a literal angel in front of him. His desire for money, his anger, his focus on his own plans blinded him. We can be blind too. We can be so focused on what we want, so busy trying to get our own way, that we miss God's clear warnings. We miss his guidance. We miss the dangers he's trying to save us from. We need to ask God to open our eyes, to help us see things clearly, to help us see from his view. No matter what human plans are made, no matter what power tries to stand against God's people, God will protect them. He will turn curses into blessings. He is faithful to his promises. This should comfort us. If we are God's people, he is for us. He is our defender. It stopped. It turned. It pressed against the wall. Balaam ignored them all. He just got angrier. Sometimes God sends us little signs, little nudges, little things that go wrong. Or we might get frustrated. We might think they are just problems. But maybe they are God's way of saying, "Stop. Don't go there. This path is not good for you." We need to pay attention. We need to think about why things are happening. 4 or 5. Our motives matter to God. Balaam went with the men, yes. God gave him permission. But God was angry. Why? Because Balaam's heart was wrong. He wanted the money. He wanted the honor from Balak. He was not going to serve God alone. He was trying to serve God in himself. God sees our hearts. He cares about why we do things, not just what we do. We can do good things with bad reasons. And God sees that. 6, God's will always wins. Balaam could not curse Israel. He could only bless them. God's plan was accomplished, even through a man who tried to go against it. even through a talking donkey. Nothing can stop God's purpose. This gives us confidence. It means we can trust God. His plans are good, his promises are sure. The story of the talking donkey is not just a strange tale. It's a deep teaching moment in the Bible. It shows God's incredible power, his patient love, his faithfulness to his promises. It shows our human weakness, our blindness, our stubbornness. It reminds us that God is in charge of all creation. He can speak through anyone or anything. And we need to be ready to listen, to be humble enough to hear, to obey, even when the message comes from the mouth of a donkey. It is a very real, very honest story about God stepping into a human situation. A situation full of greed and fear, and God uses the most unlikely way to get his message across. It shows that God will go to great lengths to save us from ourselves, to change our direction, to protect his people. Think about Balaam on that road. He was a powerful man. A man people respected, and there he was, arguing with his animal, being corrected by his animal, being saved by his animal, all because he was too proud, too greedy, too stubborn to see what was right in front of him. It's a reminder that sometimes the simplest, most overlooked things can hold the most important wisdom. And sometimes the wise and spiritual among us can be the most blind. So, the next time you think about this story, don't just laugh at the idea of a talking donkey. Remember the deep, important lessons it holds. Remember God's power, remember his warnings, remember his protection, and ask yourself, am I listening? Am I truly seeing? Am I open to God speaking to me even if it's through a donkey in my life? That's what the story is really about. It's about opening our eyes and ears to God, no matter how he chooses to speak. And it's a powerful lesson for us all, even today. It shows that God is not limited by what we think is normal or logical. He doesn't need big, flashy miracles every time. Sometimes the miracle is just a simple animal seeing what we cannot, speaking what we need to hear. God is creative in how he talks to us. He is determined to get through to us, and he will use whatever it takes. A donkey, a dream, a quiet thought, a sudden, unexpected problem. The story is a strong picture of God stepping in. It's a moment when the hidden spiritual world is made clear, just for a moment, to teach a man and to teach us about God's concept, about his watchfulness, about his complete control. And what about Balaam's reaction? He was angry first. He wanted to kill the donkey. Then when his eyes were opened, he said he was wrong. He said he had sinned. He said he would go back. This shows a moment of humility, a moment of clear understanding, but it wasn't a lasting change for him. He still found a way to work against God's people later. This is another part of the story. It shows that even a big encounter with God doesn't always mean a changed heart. We need to choose to stay on God's path, not just when something big happens, but every day. The talking donkey is not just a strange event. It's a deliberate act by God. It's meant to be remembered. It's meant to shake us up, to make us think, to challenge what we assume about how God works, and about our own spiritual state. Are we more like Balaam, driven by what we want, blind to God's clear presence and warnings? Or are we humble enough to hear God's voice, no matter how strange or unexpected the messenger? The donkey's voice reminds us that God's ways are higher than our ways. His thoughts are higher than our thoughts, and he will always find a way to make his truth known. Think about where this story takes place. It's in the wilderness, a time when God was very close to his people. He led them with a cloud by day and fire by night. He gave them food and water. He was very present, and here, he's present again, not just for the Israelites, but also for this foreign prophet, Balaam. Because God is not just the God of Israel, he is the God of everyone. He deals with Balaam, even though Balaam has mixed motives. This shows God's reach, his power over everything. The story also shows how much God values human life. The angel was ready to kill Balaam, but God used the donkey to stop it. He used the donkey's fear, its actions, and finally its voice to give Balaam one last chance. It was an act of mercy. A final warning before Balaam would have faced death. God doesn't enjoy seeing bad people die. He wants them to change and live. This event with the donkey was proof of that. It was God's attempt to change Balaam's heart. The fact that Balaam argued back with the donkey also tells us something. It means he wasn't completely out of his mind. He was just so consumed by his anger and his mission that a talking donkey seemed less strange than his animal's refusal to move. His mind was not in a place of seeking truth, but rather of getting past a problem. This detail makes the story even more real. It shows how focused and blind we can become when what we want clashes with what's really happening. He was arguing with the donkey as if it were a disobedient servant, not a miracle. That's how deep his spiritual blindness went. And the donkey's questions were so simple, yet so important. What have I done to you? Have I ever done this to you before? These are questions that force Balaam, and us to think clearly, to look at the facts, to step outside our anger and look at the situation with fresh eyes. The donkey wasn't being rebellious for no reason. Its actions were unusual. And that should have been a warning sign for Balaam. But he missed it. We often miss these warning signs too. We ignore things that are different. We just keep pushing forward. We don't stop to ask, why is this happening? The donkey's simple questions cut through Balaam's rage and offered a chance to think. So, when we ask why God used a talking donkey, the answer isn't just one thing. It's many lessons woven together. It's about God's complete power, his willingness to use anything for his plans, his patient kindness. It's about our human flaws, our blindness, our greed, our stubbornness. It's about the reality of spiritual battles and God's protection over his people. And it's a timeless reminder that God speaks, and we need to be ready to hear, no matter how unusual the messenger. It's a story that makes us question our assumptions and helps us understand God more. And it invites us to live with open eyes and ears, always looking for his guidance. The story is simple on the outside, a man, a donkey, an angel. But its meaning is huge. It's a story that still matters today, reminding us that God is actively involved in our world, in our lives, and in the lives of those who don't even know him. He intervened for Balaam, a non-Israelite prophet, because Balaam was about to hurt God's chosen people. God cares about what happens to his children, and he will make sure his plans happen. This story also shows God's cleverness. Balaam was a prophet. He was supposed to be the one hearing God's voice, seeing spiritual things. But God had to use a dumb animal to do that for him. The irony is strong. The creature that Balaam controlled, that he thought was beneath him, became his superior in spiritual sight. It saved him and taught him a crucial lesson in that moment. It's a humbling thought, isn't it? That God might use something or someone we think is not important to teach us the most vital lesson. It's a sign of God's sense of humor, maybe. A talking donkey is certainly unforgettable. But it's also a serious life or death situation for Balaam. God used the surprising to highlight how serious Balaam's mistake was. He used an animal that carries burdens to carry a message of ultimate importance. It makes you wonder what donkeys God might be using in our own lives. What simple, everyday things are trying to get our attention. What common things are trying to warn us. The story of Balaam and his donkey is a unique event. It shows God's powerful hand guiding, redirecting, and finally protecting his people. And it serves as a strong, unforgettable warning against spiritual blindness and the dangers of letting greed and self-interest cloud our judgment. It's a story that truly makes us think about how we see the world around us, and how we see God's constant, active presence in it. It truly is one of the Bible's most surprising and most helpful stories. And all of it because of a talking donkey.